What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the DST show. We are live late at night here, March 8th of 2023. We got some massive news involving Robby Anderson, former star wide receiver of the Carolina Panthers, recently traded around the middle of the season. Sadly, he got released to clean up $12 million over cap space after trading around three late round picks for him around the middle of the season after he became a team cancer for the Carolina Panthers, and plus they got a younger and better receiver out of DJ Moore. Bro, I don't know what to expect. After literally screaming over his receiving coach, not getting enough touches, complaining over most of the offensive struggle that the Panthers had over in the middle of the season, and having several losing streaks over the 2022 season, he had barely much contribution over the losing Arizona Cardinals regular season. So I'm just conflicted why people are complaining to why he even got cut when he hasn't had to produce a productive season since 2019. I'm betting this is just a travesty. If you're a Cardinals fan, knowing the defensive struggle has been, plaguing over the Carolina Panthers defense, and DeAndre Hopkins is already possibly keen on leaving over the offseason, possibly in a trade rumor, hopefully to the New York Giants, as well as Alan Lizard, that's possibly hooked on going to a contender like the Minnesota Vikings. Going to a division rival would be crazy, though, or the New England Patriots that possibly need some assistance over Jacoby Myers. Patriots could possibly be their best bet because they at least had a linebacker with the highest sack ratio over the regular season. They had a decent enough record of still pulling over the playoffs if it wasn't for their elimination due to their loss against the Buffalo Bills last year. In the Week 18, over that showcase of 2 kickoff returns and just getting shut off offensively. And that massive choke job they had against the Vegas Raiders where they had Jacoby Meyer trip over that ball to get picked off, and Mac Jones to see how the turf is actually made. Or closing off over choking out a red zone loss to the Minnesota Vikings. Anytime they got a major upswing, they lose 2 straight. Literally, just the last 5 games, they went for their last 5 before their bye week, and then they lost 2 straight against division leaders like the Vikings, Bills, and then lose to and the Cincinnati Bengals. Only winning 3 of your last 9 games is not a good look if the New England Patriots want to get it. They have potentially good stars on their team. They got Kevin Harris. We all know Kendrick Bourne's a decent enough slot. Jacoby Myers, that can be a good number 1 option. A decent comeback season for Devontae Parker. He had some great showcases, even though he only riled up around 533 receiving yards. Massive great catch rating for him. Always good over the first down conversions, especially the third down conversions. He's great. Red zone ratio, they at least had 3 receiving options that were already putting up above 500 receiving yards, as well as Hunter Henry. That's not bad. So they do have a decent enough depth over skill players. Just not a good, keen Pro Bowl and number 1 option that you could get over trading for DeAndre Hopkins. But I'm sure we're not really risking that much for Mac Jones to be the key contributor, especially still with Devin McCourty still over with his age, even though he still puts up good, consistent numbers. Juna. I think getting rid of Van Noy over the offseason, letting him go over to the Chargers. We just don't know what to expect. So possibly DeAndre Hopkins could leave, go to a place that's already keen on still trying to be a contender, or still consistently a division leader, it's possibly not going to be the Bengals because he possibly wants to be the number one option. It could be the Kansas City Chiefs. Big shocker there. Juju Smith-Schuster already has a player option over for a free agency for this offseason. Could be keen on trying to get an extension to stay. But it's all dependent on how it is financially for him, if they're even willing to repeat and become a legitimate dynasty. Because I don't really account 2 championships being a dynasty, even though it is a successful franchise. People still put up the 93, 95 Houston Rockets as a dynasty. That makes no sense to me because they only won 2 out of Chicago Bulls 6 over the 90s, while the Pistons didn't they win 2 around the late 80s to early 90s until the Michael Jordan won around 91. So there hasn't been repeat champions, or at least a singular champions, until we got the 99 San Antonio Spurs. Until they become a dynasty around the late the 2000s to early 2010s. And that always conflicts me because that's a legitimate dynasty, not the Houston Rockets from the mid-90s. They were a great championship team, but I don't think we count them as a dynasty. But that's just my opinion. Into further news over the headlines, of course, everybody knew that Derrick Carr was a massive free agent over in the market that still puts up a consistent numbers over mid-teams. So now he plays for the New Orleans Saints. Yes, the New Orleans Saints. I got to say it like when Anthony Bennett got drafted around 2013. I'm sure Cavs fans still want me bringing that up. Yes, the New Orleans Saints got David Carr for around 4 years, $140 million. I think he got paid less than Daniel Jones. Is it $150 million he got paid around March 6th? That's crazy. Michael Thomas, I don't even know if they're still going to keep over Michael Thomas. How long is he still suspended? The guy can't keep his hands to himself, and he's supposed to keep it on the football. Of course, we know some legal issues over with Alvin Kamara. I guess the only star skill player is still Taysom Hill. But there's a massive upside over the Saints. They were still a contributing competitive team around the NFC North until getting knocked up around, I think, week 14 or week 15. With Mark Ingram, even though he wasn't that contributive around the middle of the season. Of course, the rookie, Chris Oliva, that had a great season, going for 1,000 yards over his rookie year. Massive catch rating. Got around 4 receiving touchdowns around the offseason. Jawan Johnson, Jarvis Landry really wasn't that vocal on the offense. I'm not going to lie to you. How you guys are thinking about the Derrick Carr to the Saints? I really think not the biggest option. There could be the Washington Commanders that would have been a better option. A lot more offensive depth. I guess a more keen receiving option in scary Terry McLaurin. Johan Dotson that had a great showcase over the season. Even though they choked out, but they were still contending over at least second best over the NFC East around the second half of the season. And most people were expecting a bigger dogfight coming from the AFC West than they were the NFC East. Most people weren't even expecting the Giants to go above 500. And that was coming from even Giants fans. And now people are complaining that Daniel Jones don't even deserve his extension when he's more of the safer pick than giving the extension to Saquon Barkley that had, injury problems over his career. I'm just trying to understand the logic in that situation. And I'm not saying, no one's saying if Saquon Barkley is bad, but you have the safer option of seeing if Saquon can stay healthy and consistent over the consistent quarterback that had three, 4 different head coaches over his career, consistent completion numbers that can actually give out the ball while having a lack of a supporting cast over the receiving core, over our injury prone Pro Bowl halfback. And I'm not even thinking of, if that doesn't work, we get Derrick Henry. I'm sticking with Saquon. No disrespect to Derrick Henry. He also has his plague of injuries, and guess what? Saquon's still in his 20s. Derrick Henry's around the 30s. And that's still sticking over with trade rumors with him, knowing that possibly the Tennessee Titans have been just shipped out of playoff contention after a mid-season where they choked out and had the Jacksonville Jaguars just sneak their way in the AFC South division. And nobody was expecting that. I don't even know what's going to happen over to Tannehill. Honestly. And that's coming over, like 3 different franchise tags, as well as Lamar Jackson. Over $32 million. So it's either just the keenness, we'll still give you around near at least $250 million. We just need to know if he can stay healthy. Because Lamar, he puts up good Pro Bowl numbers until the first half, until we're in the second half of the season, and he's just spreading out of the pocket. Because no disrespect to Ravens fans or Lamar Jackson fans, there's no field vision with Lamar Jackson. He's either itching out over to the pocket, they're over relying on him, and I guess it's dependent on his supporting cast. Lamar barely had much of supporting cast this season, and this is coming from him winning 5 straight before his injury, etching out a 10-7 season, getting carried out by Tyler Huntley until the last 2 got played over with Anthony Brown. And this is the biggest momentum coming out to him getting, beating the Buccaneers in prime time, shutting out the New Orleans Saints, and then beating the Carolina Panthers. The bare minimum, at least beating the division leaders out of the NFC South. And then they lose to Jacksonville in a nail-biter. And then get shut out by the Browns by 10 in a low-scoring game, and then losing their last 3 games, losing 4 of the last 5 before the playoffs. And that's losing 3 straight and still holding on to a wild card in a hair. I don't even know how that works. I feel like the seed extension was the worst idea for the NFL, because it's just accepting team mediocrity when they should be at least trying to rebuild at this point. I'm just saying. If you guys want some NBA news, we can post that up in just a second. Because currently, I don't know what happened. Apparently, the Lakers are now coming from 13th seed in the Western Conference to now 9th seed, just a game above the New Orleans Pelicans for the play-in tournament. And we're only 2 months left over to the season, under 20 games left. While the Memphis Grizzlies, over John Morant's stupidity, is now the number 1 team in the Western Conference, 7 games above the Sacramento Kings, that are now the second best team in the West, and only the Phoenix Suns. I feel like the Dallas Mavericks are possibly going to be 6th or 7th seed, because I feel like there's a chemistry issue with the Mavericks. I know it's a gelling period for 2 ball dominant players, but they can't move out the pick. They're either too reliant on kicking out and spot ups, and I don't know. It's just that disciplined basketball. And I guess there was just a more reasonable deal with the Mavericks for the Nets, and that's more understandable to deal with Dinwiddie than it is with Westbrook. And now the Clippers now fall over to 8th. I feel like the only contenders right there is the Denver Nuggets. And it's do or die for the Nuggets, no doubt about it. Shaquille Griffin got already released from the Jacksonville Jaguars after being there since he's been drafted. We also got Jared Davis got signed to an extension. Oh, and Jackson Mahomes, Pat Mahomes' brother, made the news recently for being accused for sexually assaulting a young lady over in a nightclub later around the weekday. A week. I don't even know how that works. They said they know each other, but bit of a racy video. If you want, I can pull it up. But I don't even know. But I'm scared to see if I get banned off YouTube for it. So even if it's for journalistic reasons, I bet it's still going to be inappropriate. Even though I'm not monetized, so I don't even know why would that be an issue. So let me see if I can pull it up right now. Excuse me if this takes a while. We're going to pull this up. Yeah, right there. You see, he's getting a bit, way too handsy. This is not even playful. Sometimes you get a little, like, we can understand people getting a bit too frisky, even with their female friends, but that's way too handsy, even and way too tasteless for somebody like Jackson Mahomes. I don't even know where he even thought that'd be a good idea, even with a female friend. That's a bit too handsy and gives a bad rep for Pat Mahomes, knowing like his reputation already being clean cut, good family Christian man, and Jackson Mahomes being a disgraceful, lanky piece of shit that comes around reaping over the benefits and cloud of his own brother's success because he knows he's talentless and he comes around making these TikTok videos. I'm sorry if this turns into a rant. But I don't mess with Jackson Mahomes. I feel like he's a piece of crap. And that's just telling me with the controversy he had, because I remember he got told off by a restaurant over not getting not serving his posse and himself, and then getting told off on social media over his own posse. And now here he is thinking he can do whatever he wants with some lady, all because he knows her. That's the type of crap that I can't tolerate. Like, come on, man. Everybody knows that's not a good idea. Aaron Rodgers has been over in meetups with the New York Jets recently. I don't even know if this is a big serve, knowing the dark side of Aaron Rodgers and seeing where he would go this offseason. People thought it'd be the Denver Broncos before that got served up to Russell Wilson. We know how that went off. Worst in their division. And of course, I don't know if there could be major options. Jets could be, knowing that they're possibly low morale, knowing that Zach Wilson has been a piss poor quarterback under a rookie deal that they could still go over in the extension, knowing that Derrick Carr is out the notion for a contending playoff team, knowing how close over losing their last 5-6 games over for contention for a playoff spot, even though it was one-sided for the Buffalo Bills in a breakout season over for the Miami Dolphins. The Jets were actually pretty good before around like week 11. Other than that, the Jets were an exceptional team. They came above even a more impressive record than last season, getting 7 wins and 10 losses until they lost their last 7 games after this. Before week 13, they're 7-4. They were beating teams like the Green Bay Packers, the Miami Dolphins, the Pittsburgh Steelers, only falling victim to actually good teams. They even upset it over the Buffalo Bills around before even their bye week by a field goal. until they got pimp slapped by the Jaguars, gobsmacked by the Seahawks, curb stomped in the curb with their mouth on it by the Dolphins. At least they've been single-digit intervals until they got shut out by the Chicago Bulls by like 21 points. Bears, my fault. So I don't even know where that pattern even came from. Poor coaching, way too conservative offense, an underutilization of Cedric Wilson over their deep ball, and just undisciplined defense. Like, I've seen more false starts coming from a racetrack than I do an offensive line and defensive line. CJ Mosley needs to get traded. That's coming from the heart. I know he's an exceptional, good linebacker. Good over on the pass rush, and he has a lot of experience coming out of his age. But I feel like he's just better off used over in a contender. Sauce Gardner has been a breakout shutout corner with his speed, leanness, and hustle for the football. Quinnen Williams, great nose tackle. LaMarcus Joyner, been a great addition over to the defense, as well as Marcus May. Wait, Marcus May is on the Saints now. My fault. John Franklin Meyer. Like, there's a great upstart defense. That's been why the Jets has been so difficult to close out and shut out performances where they could have been losing by double digits. The issue is their offense. They had Joe Flacco, Mike White, and freaking Zach Wilson to deal with. You tell me how to deal with that. Braxton Burris, Elijah Moore, that had a show-out performance this season. Garrett Wilson that started 12 out of his 17, but had some great shutout performances. Came with 1,100 yards, off a 56 catch rating. Caught around 4 touchdowns this season, and used as massive jet sweep option, as well as Braxton Burris good at being a good Swiss Army knife. Ty Jones and Bryce Hall that had a show out rookie year. I feel like an underwhelming acquisition was Corey Davis. Wasn't he coming from the Titans? CJ Uzomah played pretty well. So they have a good skill acquisition, but they're more used for receiving option plays. And I guess if Rodgers goes over to the Jets, DeAndre Hopkins can play over for a big market like the Jets already with a massive supporting team and stuff. I guess that would be the best option for them, knowing that they don't have to deal with financial backings, and knowing that there's not much of a max deal that the Jets are really sacrificing if either player goes there over a team option. Knowing like Derrick Carr is off over in the different conference, there isn't much quarterback competition. There isn't much quarterback competition if Tua can't stay healthy. We know Josh Allen has an issue in the postseason, and you don't really have much strength of schedule in 2023 for the New York Jets. That goes over to the Philadelphia Eagles, knowing that they were the best in football last season. So that would be the comfortability factor if Aaron Rodgers thinks of stretching his foot over to New York. And then Ndamukong Suh just got signed over a 1 year. Oh wait, no, that was November. I thought that was big news. They try to get a lot of has-beens to play over their D line on the Eagles around over the middle of the season. I wonder what happens if the Packers even try to get away from the Aaron Rodgers era. What would be their identity? I don't know if they're even confident in Jordan Love, like the Niners are, to even starting Trey Lance if he comes back over his ankle injury. So we already got some Headlines coming from Sports Illustrated why the Jets trade package for Aaron Rodgers might not include their first-round pick. The contract gives Aaron Rodgers all the leverage. He's due $58 million player option bonus while on the team plus $1 million base. Oh my God. So that's just coming off a lot of the Jets cap. And this will come, Aaron Rodgers turns 40, he's 39. So it's just a multi-round package, especially for overdue rental, trying to make one more push over to the playoffs. It's still due over a massive extension. I don't even know if the Jets are even trying to risk it all. So that's just a lot of controversy right there. A lot of risk and reward, but I think a lot of risk if Aaron Rodgers pulls an Aaron Rodgers and just chokes over to the game and doesn't play up to par, especially over the high standard of a losing franchise like the Jets. Like, we know the Jets are a joke franchise, but they're also a joke franchise with a lot of history and with a lot of support. You know that it's a big city like New York. So even though they play in Jersey, I don't want to hear any jokes, John Jay. So would it be over a bigger franchise with a higher leverage that can, I guess, survive over the risk of keeping Aaron Rodgers for one playoff push? Could it be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Moving out of Tom Brady over to a new era, even though they're, lack of a supporting cast, their defensive loss after getting shut out by the Cowboys. We don't even know if Tampa Bay's over to their radar, but we know the bigger market like the Jets is going to be pushing over to the headlines until there's been some negotiation backlash. So I guess that's most of the news. I haven't really focused on the combine lately. Knowing the quarterback measurements, some first touches, I understand possibly tight end is and wide receiver is probably going to be the most key positions to get over to this draft. And obviously offensive linemen. Let's go over ESPN and see what would be. Best and worst signings from 2018. Best signing, Mitch Morse. Worst signing, Star Lodiali. Oh, God. Emmanuel Okuba. Oh, I remember him. Will Fuller. Jesus. For the Patriots, their worst signings, Matthew Judon. We know how he's doing now. The worst signing, Antonio Brown. Ooh, I feel like the Raiders are going to get this list too. Jets best signing, 2022, DJ Reed. Worst signing, 2019, Le'Veon Bell. I thought Le'Veon Bell was 2018. I heard about that when I was still in high school, so it had to be 2018. Best signing, Mark Ingram. Worst signing, Earl Thomas. Oh, God. Remember that headline over with Earl Thomas? DJ Reader. He's become an all-pro great D lineman. Now he's worth $53 million. Trey Wayne. What happened to him? Former first-round pick from the Vikings. In 2015 was a big splash signing for the Bengals. But after he missed the entire 2020 season because of his torn pectoral, a hamstring issue allowed him to play 5 games in 2021 before he was ultimately released. Wayne was unsigned in 2022. As he indicated, he was retired. Jesus Christ, that is a sad thing to know, man. Jack Conklin, Austin Hooper. Not really much of a red zone threat, man. Austin Hooper is a basic no name now. You hear here, like, the Browns signed Hooper in a 4-year deal with $23 million guaranteed after producing 75 receptions in his final seasons with the Falcons, combined for only 84 receptions over his 2 seasons in Cleveland. The Browns wound up releasing Hooper last season, creating dead cap to hit $11.25 million. Jesus Christ. And I thought that was a great signing. I think I talked about it over in this channel. I thought Austin Hooper to the Browns would have done a lot over their tight end depth until they got David Njoku. Mason Cole, great signing. Eric Ebron, damn. You're the second tight end in this list, dude. Tyrann Mathieu, best signing. Wasn't he drafted on the... What, wasn't he... Oh, no. Tyrann Mathieu, he was on the Cardinals. He was on the Texans for a hot minute until he went to the Chiefs and won the Super Bowl. So I don't even want to count it as a... I don't want to count it. But sadly, that's the truth. Tyrann Mathieu was a great signing for the Texans. Then we got Randall Cobb. Basic third string that barely was an option. Colts. Denicio Autry, defensive end, over Devin Funchess. Christian Kirk. I have to put an apology note for Christian Kirk because I had Christian Kirk as one of the worst signings over the offseason, overpaying for a perennial second-string receiver that's barely going to get as much touches. And look at him, being a major reason why the Jaguars made that massive playoff push, getting 1,100 yards. He exceeded my expectations. Shout out to Christian Kirk. Nick Foles. Damn. Forgot he was on the Jags to possibly be a perennial starter. Roger Saffold, offensive guard. Saffold signed a 4-year, $44 million contract with the Titans, became a stalwart on the offensive line, missing only 2 games in the 3 seasons. While with the Titans, Stalford was named a Pro Bowl twice, teaming Stalford. Oh, yeah, we know Stalford. Vic Beasley. Remember over that 1-year contract, he was supposed to be a massive advantage after literally making it to the Super Bowl. And now I hear he plays for the XFL. I literally was on a YTC stream, and I heard him playing for the XFL. I guess he's on the Vegas Vipers now. Kareem Jackson. Worst signing, Jawan James. Jesus. That's the second time we see Tyrann Mathieu on the list. Anthony Hitchens. Damn. Remember when he was supposed to be like a massive upside on the defensive side of the football? He's been on the team for what, like 4 seasons? I don't think Anthony Hitchens ever got some massive upside plays that Houston didn't. So why even still keep him over that massive deal? Vegas, Mac Hollins, very good receiver. Been a major offensive upside around the red zone to keep the Raiders in competitive games. Corey Littleton from the Rams. Don't even know if he's still playing in the NFL, guys. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is now. Chargers, Corey Lindsey, Byron Bugla. Best signing, J-Ron Kurtz. You know he's still part of the team. Don Cherry Poe. Oh, God. He was on the team? Isn't he aging? What the hell would you have Don Cherry Poe on the team for? Kicker, Graham Gano. We know how he's doing. Kenny Galladay. He became like a massive threat over on the Lions. As soon as he came to the Giants, poof, mid. Hassan Reddick. Massive upside. Malik Jackson. Damn. Commanders. Taylor Heineke. Should have been starting the 2022 season all along instead of Carson Wentz. My fault. I'm always bringing up mid-ginger. I'm kidding. Carson Palmer wasn't bad. Wilson Jackson. William Jackson the third. That's a damn shame. Robert Quinn. Now he plays for what? Doesn't he play for the Eagles now? Trey Burton. What happened to him, man? Jamal Williams putting up outstanding numbers for the Lions now, as well with DeAndre Swift, Jesse James, and Festus Biscuits and Gravy. Preston Smith for the Packers, as well as Jimmy Graham. Yeah, Jimmy Graham. Damn, what an afterthought when he got signed after such a great season with the Bears. Kirk Cousins. Yeah, most people would try to disagree because of the lack of postseason success. But you can't say you can't doubt the consistency that Kirk Cousins put on the team. And without him, I don't think you would get much production out of Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. I'm sorry, that's a fact. Worst signing Cousins. I wouldn't hear the claim here because this is the first person in this list to be on the best signing and worst signing. Double-edged sword of Kirk Cousins, I guess. The premium nature of Cousins' acquisition gave him extraordinary leverage over his future, regardless of his performance, while requiring the Vikings to accept that they were paying elite money. 3 years, $84 million is fully guaranteed to a player who was good but not transcendent. Cap considerations forced the Vikings to extend the contract twice in 5 seasons. And now they are mulling a third. No NFL player consumes more cap space, $36.4 million between 2018 and 2022. The only two is Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers earned more cash than Kirk Cousins. $155 million. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to lie. Kirk Cousins finessed the bag. You can't deny that you play exceptional in Washington, you play consistent in Minnesota, and hell, if a team's very desperate, they might give him at least 70-something million in his mid to late 30s. Cordero Patterson, great signing, massive double-edged, Swiss Army knife for the Falcons, and had a great 2022 seasons if it wasn't for his injuries. Dante Fowler, Jesus Christ, remember when this guy was supposed to be a massive threat? Frank Lavu, Joe McCoy. Ooh, remember when he was supposed to be a massive acquisition from the Buccaneers? Demario Davis, Cameron Meredith. Ooh, Jesus Christ. Cameron Meredith had a good 2016 season with the Bears. And as soon as he came over to a team that already had good enough receiving options and was running off a good catch and run option with Alvin Kamara. Massive afterthought after tearing his ACL. Tough for Cameron Meredith. It's always injuries holding these guys back. Tom Brady, Julio Jones. The final piece. It's so unfair to have your early 30s washed receiver out of Julio Jones just become a massive afterthought. James Conner, Sam Bradford. I thought it was going to be Robbie Anderson. Sam Bradford had the bare minimum of an upside becoming a journeyman over for the Cardinals after coming from the Vikings that I think he played his best at. Then he played for the Eagles around 2016 before Wentz took his job. And this is struggling to beat Josh Rosen for the starting position. Then Odell Beckham was their best signing, getting them over to that Super Bowl win, and then Allen Robinson. Richard Sherman for the Niners, and Jerick McKinnon. Yikes, Jerick McKinnon. Achina Nozawa, Massive edge rusher. I think he got like 2 to 3 pick sixes last season. And BJ Finney. Oh yeah, Calvin Ridley still over a guaranteed contract with the Falcons. I mean with the Jaguars. How you guys got to think about that? Well, I guess that's all the headlines we have for today. I'll catch you guys in a later date. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Comment down below how you feel about what's going on currently over this off season. We only got a lot of time until the draft, so everybody can get their mock drafts out. I know I will. Thanks for watching the DST show. Like, comment, subscribe for more. That's it from me.